And now, from Grid Square Echo Mike 48, this is 100 Watts and a Wire.
Well, hello and welcome to 100 Watts and a Wire. My name is Christian. My call sign is Kilo Zero, Sierra Tango Hotel. Joined by Steve, Whiskey 7 United Delta India. Good morning, Steve. Good morning.
Good morning, Christian. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for stopping by.
This time around, we're going to be talking about many different things, and we go off-roading a little bit in our thoughts. At least I do.
Yeah.
But we're going to be talking about computers and how ham radio operators use computers in the shack. So we'll be talking about that today. We want to hear your comments as well. But thank you for those who may have joined us new. If you're new to the channel, new to the show, you can find it on YouTube, where we stream a meet and greet prior to this show. And just say hello with friends. We have some coffee. Very laid back. Today's discussion, we talked about some mobile ham radio operating. We also talked about blues and some of the greatest guitar players of all time. So that was fun. Thank you guys for stopping by. And what else? So, and also you can take that. We were talking to Wes. I don't have Wes's call sign handy, but Wes is out on the road. His job is to go across these rolling hills and make these deliveries across our great country. And
he's Wes mobile. Is a professional driver.
Professional driver. That's what I meant to say. So he's got he showed us a 7300 he's got in his rig, and we were talking about his antennas, which is very organic. And so mobiling is a different situation. You think, oh man, a 7300. Wow, that's but that's his life. He's out on the road. That was just so for that one, the meet and greet, you sort of have to be there. We put the links out on Facebook, Twitter, and on the YouTube, so you can join us, catch the link, come and say hello if you want to. Then it goes off into the ether, and it's just the warm up. It's like stretching for this show. Well, and let's say some hellos here as people start to find us. Good morning to Marty. He says,
"Good morning, Marty. Glad to have you here."
Here's Stan. He says, "Hello."
Morning, Stan.
Here's Rosa. Rosa is a winner of an antenna recently. We'll also give away another antenna.
Yeah, we got to find out how it's working out. Rosa, have you got it on the air or?
Rosa, do you? You're going to have to come join us here on 100
Watts. The lowdown.
Let us know.
Or the challenges you ran into. Good morning, Jeff.
Jeffrey says, hello. Good morning. Kilo 1 Juliet Delta Papa. Good morning. Here's Edwin. He is in Amsterdam in the what is it called? The red light district? That's where I am. I've named my studio the red light district.
Yeah, and I need to put some blue lights in here so we can balance it out. I think so.
We almost have a red, white, and blue thing, and I love your flag. I kind of need that. I need that flag. Here's Ray. Good morning, Christian and Steve from Northern California.
Morning, Ray. How you doing, buddy?
He's Kilo November 6, Romeo Alpha Yankee. Jarrett's here this morning, too. He says, hello. It's 43 degrees and raining in Maine. He's Kilo Bravo 1 Sierra Echo Mike. And hello to you. Stan, he's Kilo Bravo 5 Sierra Romeo.
Morning, Stan.
And moving on down. Okay, she hasn't got that antenna yet, so we'll have to. We can check in on that, make sure everything's copacetic there. Things are just a little different. Here's Wes's call sign. He's
WE5MAG.
Yeah, so it's kind of like Wes is in there. Yeah, I like it. He's almost got his full name.
Yeah, exactly.
In there.
Nice.
There's a Facebook
morning,
user.
John. John, good morning. How you doing?
You know who it is. Okay, cool. Yeah. Good morning from Michael. He's Kilo Bravo 2 Oscar. Nope, that's that's right. Kilo Bravo 2 Oscar
India Echo.
Good morning to you, Michael. Kobe is here as well in Illinois. And remember, anytime you put your call sign in the chat throughout the show, you're going to be qualified to win the next antenna, which we haven't discussed yet, but we have plenty of time to do that, courtesy of LDG. They're sponsoring 12 weeks. We're not doing the 12 weeks of the 12 days of Christmas. We're doing 12 weeks of
antennas. Yeah.
Which is cool. Philip's here. He says, I made it. Hello, Philip. Good morning to you.
Philip.
Sean says, good morning from Kilo November 4 Zulu Mike Alpha. I usually listen to the podcast version while hiking, but figured I'd see the live version this week. All good. Doesn't matter how you get here or how you listen or consume it. This is sort of, and I used the wrong analogy last week. It turns out I said, if you want to see how the sausage is made, and Steve was like, no, I don't want to position it. Like, this is the worst promo of any show ever. Unless you were sort of a sausage making company. But we so see how it just doesn't get you to the right place. But we turn the cameras on, and that way you can take it with you on your hikes. Mm-hmm. And you can actually see the show being made. I should make it like donuts and things people like bread. See how we make the bread and the cookies and the stuffing. See, now you get it.
Yeah. Morning, Mark. Glad to have you. And Joseph.
Hello there. It is CW on straight key or with a. Oh, wow. Okay, we're already with the questions. So
that one's a tough one, and I'm not the CW guy. I mean, I learned with a straight key, and that was it. Never learned on the paddles or the iambic key, and we'll have to find out from the hardcore CW guys.
Put it in the chat. Or try the Facebook group, and people are doing CW there. They'll tell you. I think
there's some, and I know there's some camps there that there's the paddle guys, and then there's the iambic guys, but it's they're pretty hardcore. They got their camps, and they're pretty well in.
Edwin says, "Oh my God, the sausage again." I know. I can't help myself. I have a lot.
Well, it's better than the one talk that kept coming up. A few weeks back.
You mean my colonoscopy?
Oh, there we go.
Sorry, or is that a different?
Let it out. You let it out.
I am not afraid. I am not ashamed. Digestive health is important. Hello, Brantley. Good morning, Kilo Oscar 4 Golf Mike Oscar, just outside of Charlotte, North Carolina. Enjoy the show. Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do it for our friends here. We enjoy it too. Troy says no holding out on that. NFED. Good morning from Kilo Foxtrot 0 Alpha Foxtrot, Quebec. Person we had on recently. We both know him from the 100 Watts and Wire Net that you can join too. We like to talk about radio. We also like to do amateur radio. We do it on Sunday, 7 o'clock Central. Is our friend Paul. He says Paul is in the house. Paul is in the house. He's November 2 Hotel Yankee Golf. Just talked to Don Wilbanks for Skywarn this morning.
Man, I'm sorry.
Man, you found out a little too late.
You're scarred for life now dealing with Wilbanks.
That's funny. Good morning to Don, too. Thinking about him. Hope everything's going well down there where he is. Good morning, Facebook user from Wisconsin. I got some electrical work to do this morning, but good to catch you for a few anyway. We're happy to have you whenever. You can catch it live or in post. It's all good.
Good.
It usually hits the YouTube channel in the morning. It takes several hours to get it kind of up and going. Let's see here. When did we switch to 80 meters? Oh, you talking about my colonoscopy? I just got rid of the photo. They send you home with like
pictures.
Pictures. I'm like, oh, that's weird. That's really weird. Good morning. Moved over to YouTube. W1JGM. Good morning to you. Lots of people checking in, and we appreciate you.
Good morning, John.
Today we're going to be talking about, among other things, computers in the shack. And I know Steve has been working on his shack. And you know what? We came up with this. We came up with this topic, just because actually Steve came up with this one. Steve pitched this one at the 100 Watts and Wire production meetings. They're very official. You got to show up to headquarters. We fly you in. And I sit here.
Suit and tie and, got to, kiss the ring. And
I don't know. I don't see it, So he says, we should talk about that. And next thing you know, and it's not even related, Steve. It's like we are so, what is it, hand-tied or string-tied? We're so connected, tethered to technology. Mm-hmm. And I got into this much later. We're talking 2012, 2015 on HF. So computers were sort of like, it was a big deal when I got my first log. I was handwriting I got my log from the ARRL. Loved it. My first QSL card was like a snapshot of that with my call sign. And I had maybe 1,000 contacts, which, too many is not much, but I was like, I got to convert all these over to digital. I was weighing in my logging options. I was like, do I do it on a Mac? Do I have to get a PC? All these sorts of things. But I guess the point is, as we dive in and slowly roll this out, is that, and you can speak to this, you've been in the game now for over 4 decades, and you've probably seen a lot of things come and go. Let's just talk gently around the periphery about the changes to this hobby from, say, the earlier days to today. Go ahead and talk about that a little bit.
Well, it was so everyone logged, so we had paper logs, and then PCs started coming along, and like good hams, we kind of found a way to integrate it into our shack, and logging was the first thing. And holy smokes, did that just create it just controversy. People were just losing their minds, and it was like, no, I'm never going to have a computer in my shack, this and that. I hand log everything. And it was a battle. It was, they just didn't, see the value of it, and logging was the first thing. And then it just kind of moved into farther along. And as we kept going and going, now we're getting into automation and into the shack more so. And then now you have these new digital modes where before, if you wanted to do RTTY, you had to have an old teletype, this big old honking thing, Model 15, Model 28. So the numbers I kind of remember, and this big old clunky thing going and stuff like that. Now it's all done on software. It's just, you have your desktop or laptop or whatever computer you have, and you just take audio out of the sound card, feed it into the radio, and off you go. PSK 31, FT8, JT, the different JT flavors. It's just computers came in and really made a difference. I mean, look at me. I got 3 monitors behind me, and and 2 machines. And then, but with now logging and having the internet into the shack too, that's another thing that came along. And it just, but in the early days, it was a huge fight. It was just like, going back outside of the computers when AR Newsline, when it first became, I remember when that came out, it was Westlink, and people were losing their collective minds just because of, well, what do you mean this sounds like a broadcast on here? When Bill Pasternak started that, and he would go up onto a hilltop in above the San Fernando Valley, and they would play it on a simplex channel, and people were losing their minds over it. And then now look at it, all these years later, it has now become the mainstay of our hobby here, just to get news that's amateur related. And but going back to the computers, it is so I can't switch my antennas without my machine. The other day, I was starting to have problems with the USB connection between my machine and the antenna switch, and I was like, oh crap, because I was listening to a couple of guys, and all of a sudden the radio went silent. It's like, what's going on? I look up, and I got the red light on the comm link for the antenna switch, and I was running into problems. It didn't want to stay up, and eventually I did a full power down boot up. I mean, that including removing power from the computer. Thank you, Windows. And it's been working, but every time I come into the shack now, I'm like going, do I have to reboot? So, and now I'm looking at going and transferring everything over to and migrating. So that's another dilemma that's coming up here real quick for me, migrating my logs and everything else.
I started with the paper logs because some of my Elmers early on, this is what they did. And so here you go. It's a brand new thing. You're looking for the right answers. You're looking for the right, how should I do it? A lot of newer hams are wondering what do I do? I know I do too. And you're looking for that quick shortcut too. We're all a little guilty of, if you're lucky to have a mentor or an Elmer who can help you, you want to go right to the, so you don't maybe learn that experience. If you have a good Elmer like I do, Steve, you're kind of like not forced to build it, but you go through the process. You know what I mean? Like Steve will walk me through the steps or the things that I need to think about. It's not just go buy that, whatever, and you don't learn it. If you're lucky, if you have someone in your life that can help you in this. When I got in, I was shocked. I still am a little bit when I hear guys on the radio, or usually the guys, and they're old schoolers, and they say, I don't own a computer. And you're just like, wow, that's really saying something. When you say I don't own a computer, you don't have to be old either. I know we just had a comment in the chat about I don't own a computer, and I get it. I totally get it. But we're so tied to them, as a society, for the most part, our jobs, even if you don't own one, your job may require you to use one, at this point. So when I hear the old timers, I don't own a computer, I don't have a computer in the house. And they, we look up calls. Oh yeah, I worked you last October. It says here on the 5th, you were on and you can take notes. You were on this radio, and then you were on vacation. And then you hear the guys going, yeah, what was your call sign again? Yeah.
When did we work?
Sounds familiar.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm looking back through my log, and it's like, and I'm a guy who lives on a lot of little pieces of paper too. So I get it. I get both sides of it, but I was really shocked when I was like, wow, you don't even own a computer. So I wonder about, do you know what they could do for you? Not interested. You know what I mean? Not really into it.
And that's fine. Yeah. And there's guys, they don't want to go down that realm. And, but it's kind of funny is that, I don't own a computer, and they made a posting in Facebook. Hello, you're using a computer. Now it might be an iPhone or Android or something, but but I know what they're getting at. They don't have a computer in the shack. And there's some people, they don't want that, and that's fine. That's this is your hobby. You do it the way you want to. And there's people that like to have, sorry about that. They like to have, pencil and paper, because you don't need batteries. You don't need power, but, it's for years. It was a big topic. It was a hot button, but now it's become more mainstream. And for me, it's like, I can't live without it.
Yeah. I'm kind of at the point where I'm improving it, and we're going to talk about, not only am I not going to, I am increasing it, and I'm going to add another monitor. And it's so funny that you're dealing with this and I'm dealing with it too. And I can talk about my specific, and it all started with this camera that I'm using. It has been my Achilles heel this whole time. And one of the main reasons where I haven't been so hip to getting on YouTube when others have been doing this for years. And I'm like, I don't know, everybody's out of the box. It's not, never been doing it. And here I come. But we'll talk about that. We're going to take a little break here, and we'll come back. Curious to hear how you're using your computers in the shack, especially if you're here now. You could always send it to us if you're listening to us. Let us know how you're doing things. But for the most part, how are you using computers in your shack? If you're not, let us know why. We'll take a break, and we'll come back in 1 minute. The ICOM 705 is your perfect QRP companion, as you have base station features and functionality at the tip of your fingers. But it's in a portable package covering HF 6 meters, 2 meters, and 70 centimeters. This compact rig weighs in at 1 kilo, or just over 2 pounds, with RF direct sampling for most of the HF band and IF sampling for frequencies above 25 megahertz. It's got that large 4.3-inch color touchscreen with live band scope and waterfall. And the perfect accessory for the IC705 is the optional backpack.
It's the LC-192. It has a special compartment for the IC-705 and room for accessories for soda activations or just a day in the park. Visit icomamerica.com/amateur for more information on all ICOM radios. And Bioenno Power, offering the best performance lithium iron phosphate batteries for your ham radios. Visit bioennopower.com. That's BIOENNOPOWER.com. Or contact dealers nationwide.
All right. Made it through it. I played that back on a computer. I'm able to do what I'm doing here on a computer. My radio is basically a computer.
It's a computer.
So
It's everywhere.
We're talking about computers in amateur radio, how you use them, how they can be used, how they can maybe help you, or why they make you crazy. Now, Steve, do you want to go first and talk about you? Because my scenario really is based around the camera, and it needed to use a PC, which I'm okay with, and we did it the whole time up until today. Now I'm doing something different, and it just would not play well with my Mac. And I started to rack my brains, and I did some research. But your situation's a little different. What happened? What sparked the change in what you're doing now?
Well, like I said, all of a sudden I just started losing I had USB comm errors, which was dropping the antenna switch, and it was like, and it was the worst time. I was getting ready to do the 100 watts in a wire net, and it was like, I don't need this dropping out on me, and because if I lose the USB comms, the antenna switch goes into its default mode and it just opens everything up. And I already had a plan. I had a couple of barrel connectors ready on the fly, and crawl underneath the bench here and start disconnecting cables and going the old school method. But because I'm utilizing software to control the antenna switch, so I'm using a 2x8 antenna switch, so I can use two radios simultaneously and select whatever antenna. So like one radio, I can have it on 80 meters. The other radio, I can have it on 20 meters, and they can operate simultaneously. Whichever radio is selected, the A antenna, the first takes it, and then it's not, the second radio can't select it. So there's kind of a safety feature. So that's what kind of started it. And I'm still using Windows 7 on the system because it was like, well, it's working. Don't screw with success. And now I need to move over to, I've been wanting to do this for quite some time. And, but I was kind of like, well, I got to migrate this. I got to install that. I got to redo all my NetLogger stuff for the Sunday night nets. I got to redo. There's a bunch of migration that needs to be done. And then all the backing up that goes on nightly as far as for the log and everything else on the machine. I got to deal with that. So it just was one of those things, and I was just losing my collective mind that one day. And Christian was having problems with with his camera, so it just kind of like, hey, yeah, maybe we need to do a segment on the PC and the PC or computer. Let's put it computer, because there's people use Macs and in the shack there, and there's logging programs and other tools that are in there, and for I call it automation of the shack. And but it's we need to nowadays the modern shack is you got your radios, you got your computer, and you got your network, you got the internet basically into the shack, and we're utilizing all of that into the hobby. And then it's getting to the point, it's like, we got all this stuff, and then when I lose this or that, oh geez, I'm losing, I can't operate. So we got to have a backup plan.
And you know what? I think computers, to play devil's advocate a little bit, and full disclosure, clearly we are doing computers in the shack. I don't have a computer really connect. I do have a monitor connected to my radio, so I can see an even large screen, even bigger. First world problems, right? So, completely full disclosure, I am using technology to my advantage, not for contesting purposes, just because I'd like to see it bigger, just because I can, that kind of thing. But let's talk a moment and look at how computers have changed. And this is a bucket of worms here, but I'm playing devil's advocate. Look at how computers have changed maybe the entry level of ham radio, getting in as a technician, working the digital modes. I know this will freak some people out to think about, but look, it's bringing people in. People cannot put up a dipole, a simple 20-meter dipole. People don't have the space, guys. People need to do different things. We shouldn't look at people who have to compromise. But what have computers given to amateur radio, especially at the technician? Low power. What can you do with a computer, Steve, on a low power, low budget, unlimited space?
Well, you brought up the let's go with the digital modes for the technician for DMR, P25, wires. Some of these modes, you gotta use a computer to program the radio. I mean, yeah, you could probably do it through the keypad, but there's some stuff you have to have some kind of software and interface to the radio just to program it so you can get out there and operate. And so that's a must. As far as low power, it's I'm kind of stretching on that one. But right off the bat, I mean, you gotta, especially in the new digital modes, you gotta have a computer to program the radio, and then even with the old analog, like and I don't have the Bofang or the Wouxun or. And if I'm butchering the names, I apologize. But some of these low-end, cheap radios that are coming out, from what I understand, programming from the keyboard or the keypad is just a nightmare. It's doable, but it's just this huge pain in the rear end. And so you use the software to put in all your memories and get everything all pre-programmed. And you got to have a PC or some kind of computer to do that interface. And Chirp, I think, is a program that kind of goes across a bunch of makes and models of radios. And you can go out there and, program up your memory banks. RT Systems is another third-party software that can program various radios, and they got a really nice software package for that. So
programming is a big one for me. Now, I will again, I should preface this by saying I think you need to learn how to program your radio, especially I was shocked a little bit. I met some people over the years who are in Aries, not necessarily local, or maybe not, just generally, and they don't even know how to program the radio. And I'm like, okay, if we have to change frequencies here, you need to know how to do that. So some of these old boys don't know how to do these sorts of things. I understand if you're new. So I do believe you should know how to.
Oh, I'm guilty in that too. It's like, you got a new radio, like a Kenwood V71, which I have, and set a few memories up, and then it's like, and then you don't touch it for months or even a year or two. And then it's like, oh, geez, I got to put something. How do I do that? I remember you got to go do this. There's a sequence of keys you got to go, but
YouTube video, right? That's how I did my new radio. So I think my point is, you should learn how to do it manually to just do it. But I'm guilty because we're talking about time. I've got a young family. We're talking about time. I learn how to do it. I try to remember how to do it. Then the drills come up with Aries, and I'm like, I better YouTube this one and figure out again. But then I'll go and program. You get you want your channels in there, and software makes it so you can go in there quickly, at least, and clean. You're not back. Oh, damn, that's a 9. I need a 0. back. delete. Oh, where'd it go? You know, so then you can put it on the big screen. So I see both sides, but
Yeah.
you know, not saying that use the technology in lieu of understanding your technology, but man, it sure is convenient to connect the cable to your rig and your computer,
And off
punch
you go.
these things in, organize them, and shift them if you need to, that kind of deal. So yeah, I get that. So that's a great point about programming. I try to do both, but once I get my locals programmed through the, you know, I'm cool. Now we
For the
do
most
a drill.
part, yeah, you're good. I mean, your radio in your truck is pretty well set up, and off you go. Then it comes down to, hey, I'm going to be making a trip here. I'm going to make this road trip, and now I gotta. And you get a list, and you're going, okay, I'm going to be in this area, so I want to use these repeaters. Oh, they use the same frequency as us, but different PL tones. So I need to put in, or they're using. I mean, it's just one thing after another, and you're setting up this list, and the last thing you want to do is trying to, you know, reprogram the radio on the while driving down the road and end up in a ditch or another lane, and so it's kind of tough, and having these tools and the computer is a tool. It's just another tool in that we use in the hobby here, and how reliant we've gotten onto it, and but there's times when we got too reliant on it. When it doesn't work, we're like, oh crap.
Yeah, when you got to get back to basics, you know, that's when you know how dependent you are. You know, and I've got a little thing happening today. I mean, it looks okay, it's going to sound okay, and everything's okay. But I had to piecemeal some things together, and it's a little different this week for me. Stan said he's using digital modes. He uses it for logging,
rig control.
Let's see. Rusty says he just started using Hampi distro. Not sure what that is, on PI 400, and has
that is
dozens
a
of software.
Pi. That's a Raspberry Pi software.
Gotcha. He's using dozens of ham software already installed. Let's see here. Edwin says he uses a laptop for digital modes and for remoting from a mobile and workplace. Use QRZ as a logging platform and SOTA activations. Bill says, I think I would be lost without a computer in the shack. Didn't use one for a long time, but now it's a must.
And I'm with you, Bill. That's exactly where I was. I mean, I started back in the day, we had to log everything. When you called CQ, you had to log everything. It was
part of your FCC requirements.
It was part of the rules and regulations. And then they said, now you don't need to log anymore. And then there was just kind of a period there, just kind of going along. It was really great because you're driving down the road, you didn't have to log. And then then the PCs came in, and then logging came in there, and then the dilemma that people came was they had their paper logs, and then they moved into computerized logging, which was great, and they just kind of left it alone. And the thing that really got people going crazy was when LOTW came around. So that was that logbook of the world that the ARRL set up, and people were starting to panic. It's like, I got thousands of contacts on paper log, and now they have to put it into a digital format and then to upload it. And so that was a dilemma for some, not for all. And but I'm with you. I'm kind of lost without it. The rigs are tied into the machine, and then my logging program, it already puts in the frequency, the mode, along with the time. All I do is just put in I put in the call sign. I hit tab because I'm using N3 FJP's software. It goes out, does a lookup on the internet, and it just populates everything. You know, all the details of the contact that I've met, their address, and boom. It's so simple. It's just a few keystrokes, and it just simplified. And then I can just type in notes and then go from there. Which I need to do more often. I've more so try to remember. Hey, I kind of remember working you. You know, and we talked about this, and
Now here's something really shameless. Look at this.
Yeah. Look
Sent
at us.
that. Look at this. It's
Look
pretty,
at this.
pretty cool. Pretty cool. I cannot put coffee in mine. I'm on strict rules here.
What?
I have to have basically a sippy cup. This will not leak. I could drop this, pour it over my head. It will not leak. All this computer talk is the reason these changes were precipitated.
Yeah. Guess what happened this week to me?
You didn't do this.
I didn't do it. My work partner did it on my company laptop. He spilt my coffee on my keyboard.
It makes my heart hurt to hear this.
I was on a mountaintop.
I can't do this anymore because I fried a $2,000 Mac. And the only good part about this was that I didn't have to pay for it. I felt so bad. I talked to the IT guys and they couldn't bring it back. The good news is they're not emotionally attached to any of this stuff. But I sent Steve a mug out today. We're kind of mugging it up here on the show here. Get the black one. You can see the shop there if you want some. And I sent some stickers out too because people always ask about stickers. Stickers was the hardest part to pull off. In the show's history was like, you got any stickers? I'm like, and you had to enter into some agreement with a company, and it was like, this is a pain. This is a real pain in the butt. But we've kind of figured it all out now. But I'm happy about it. I don't want to drink out of it because I will do something stupid. So if you're more responsible than I am, get yourself a mug. Joel says, and we're going to wrap up side A here in a couple minutes. We'll flip the record over here shortly. Joel says, I don't really use a computer for radio much. I use a laptop for chirp and my phone for logging and repeater book. But that's it.
And that's great. That's perfect. That's
and it's a very to each his own, whatever works, to each their own. We're not for or against. We're both using it.
And Kevin there's using it more for information. And that's the other part. It's great to look up stuff and go from there. Talking with like we were talking with Wes earlier, and we were talking about his antenna situation, and I just turned around and went, oh yeah, I think it's K0BG, and so I just go do a quick look up, and yep, that's it, and Alan's website is geared around mobile. So I mean, that's one of the really neat thing about having all this technology in our shack is you can look up information and on the fly as you're.
It's a game changer
for me.
And people of my age group, I mean, I would think people in their 40s and 50s kind of, it came about. Computers really started to hit when I was in college. And I remember just figuring out how to type. This was a skill that was not shared in, my elementary or high school at the time. Here's one I need to say. Edwin, let me clarify. Edwin says, coffee isn't bad. The sugar milk will kill your computers. I drink my coffee black. What will kill your computer, like kill mine, is when you dump 20 ounces directly into it. I mean, it was like, oh my God, like I screamed the F word. I'm pretty sure that's what my kids are, just like,
yeah. No, mine happened Wednesday. And then finally I started to use that one machine yesterday morning, and I was like, I pulled it out and opened up the lid on it. It's like, still smells a little coffee. And it's like, well, we'll see if it works.
So this will not save anything. Pour it on your crotch. Anything has got to be better than into your computers. But thanks for being with us today and talking about that. We're going to flip the record over here, Steve. So we'll take a minute break. We'll close it out and rejoin. You don't have to go anywhere. You're going to see us wrap, and we'll come back with side 2, talk about more. We've got questions to get to. We're also going to give away another antenna this week. So we're on our way. Stand by. We'll be right back with you.
To join the 100 Watts in a Wire community, visit 100wattsinawire.com.